Hello, my name is Iram Nasir, and today we are going to learn about passive voice. So, students, let's start our class. We are going to talk about where to use passive voice. I'll show you 4 common situations where we prefer to use the passive rather than the active voice. All right, let's start by making sure we understand the difference between the active and the passive voice. Take a look at the sentences I have over here. Alice kicked the ball. That's in the active voice. In the passive, the ball was kicked by Alice. Now, notice that both of these sentences are saying the same thing. That is, the meaning is the same. It's just the expression that's different. We are going to split these sentences into 3 parts called the agent, the action, and the receiver. I'll explain to you what these mean. Let's start with the action. In both of the sentences, the action is kicked. So the basic verb is kicked. The agent is the person or the thing that does the action, and that is Alice in both of these sentences. The receiver is the person or the thing that receives the action. In this case, it's the ball that receives the kick. So the receiver is the ball. Okay, so now what's the major difference between the active and the passive voice? Well, if you look at the active voice sentence, you see that the sentence starts with the agent and the receiver is all the way at the end or in the background of the sentence. So we can say that in an active voice sentence, the major focus is the agent. While in the passive voice sentence, the focus is the receiver. And notice here that the agent has been pushed to the background or to the end of the sentence. Sometimes we can even leave out the agent if it is not important. Also notice here that there is a verb, was is the verb be in the past tense. We put the verb be here to show that this is the receiver and not the agent. That is very important in passive voice. Okay, so now we know that if we write or say a sentence in the passive voice, that is because we want to focus on the receiver and we don't want to focus on the agent. In what situation might we do that? Well, one situation is where the agent is less important. Now, let me give you an example. There is a hotel near my home. It's a very popular hotel, but there was one problem. That problem was the hotel looked very old. It was an old hotel. But recently, I learned that they have renovated the hotel. Renovate means to improve the look of the place. So they have repainted the building, they have added some new furniture, they have made some nice decorations, and now the hotel looks really cool. So we can say that they have renovated the hotel. Now, as soon as you hear that sentence, you might realize that that's not the best way to say it because we are giving too much focus to they or saying they have renovated the hotel. We don't want to do that. We want to focus instead on the hotel and the renovation. So we write it in the passive The hotel has been renovated. It's in the present perfect tense, so I'm writing has been. Now notice here, there is no mention of the agent. In our original sentence, we saw that ball was kicked by Alice. We mentioned the agent, but here there is no agent. And that is the advantage of the passive voice. If you are not interested in the agent, you can leave out the agent. So our final sentence is the hotel has been renovated. We could say the hotel has been renovated by them, but that would really not be necessary because we are not interested in that information. All right, the second situation where we use the passive is where the agent is unknown. So let's say that somebody stole my wallet last week. Somebody stole my wallet last week. Now we know that some thief or some pickpocket pinched my wallet, but we don't know who that person is. So we can say that the agent is unknown and it is the person doing the action is unknown. So we can write the sentence as my wallet was stolen last week. This is in the passive. And once again, we have left out the agent. The reason is here is that the agent is unknown. So we are focusing entirely upon the wallet because after all, that's most important to me, that my wallet. So my wallet was stolen last week. All right, the third situation where we prefer to the passive is where the agent is obvious. Let's say that the police found the thief who stole my wallet and the police arrested the thief yesterday. The police arrested the thief yesterday. I have rewritten that sentence in the passive as the thief was arrested yesterday. Now, obviously, this sentence focuses on the thief, but also when I tell you that the thief was arrested yesterday, you know it immediately that it was done by the police because only the police can arrest the thief or the people. There is no need to mention the police here. That's why we are saying the agent is obvious and that it means that the agent is clear and anyone hearing the sentence can immediately guess who did the action. So we can leave out the agent and we can write the sentence in a passive voice when the agent is obvious. All right, the final situation where we often prefer to use passive is when we want to develop a topic. This is when you have two or more sentences that talk about the same topic. Like in this example, Harry Potter is the fantasy novel. J.K. Rowling wrote it. It refers to Harry Potter. Now we are interested in the second sentence. In the second sentence, J.K. Rowling is the agent, wrote is the action, and it is the receiver, that is Harry Potter. But there is a problem with this second sentence. And the problem is that when you read the two sentences together, it sounds like you are changing the topic. In the first sentence, we are saying that Harry Potter is a fantasy novel. We are focusing on Harry Potter. But when we come to the second sentence, suddenly we are saying J.K. Rowling. J.K. Rowling wrote it. That causes it can throw off your listeners a little bit. So it would be better to write this sentence in the passive so we can focus on Harry Potter. So let me rewrite the sentence. It was written by J.K. Rowling. Read these two sentences together. Harry Potter is the fantasy novel. It was written by J.K. Rowling. Notice in this sentence, or in this case, we are flowing smoothly from the first sentence to the second sentence. We are keeping the topic the same. That is a very important use of the passive voice. All right, before we end this lesson, I want to tell you quickly where not to use the passive voice. Now, we saw these 4 situations where we have preferred the passive voice, but in some cases, you can only use the active voice. You cannot use the passive voice. Remember that the agent-receiver relationship is very important for passive sentences, but some sentences have no receivers. How is that possible? You might think, doesn't every sentence have the receiver? Or, well, not necessary. When I say, I'm happy, there is no receiver in that sentence. Or if I say, the baby cried, again, there is no receiver. So for sentences like that, there is no passive voice. You can only use the active voice. Now, if a verb does not have a receiver, like cry, laugh, and I'm happy, or etc., then we call them that verb intransitive verb. That's a verb that has no object or receiver. The passive voice is only possible for transitive verbs, that is, verbs that take an object, like kick, steal, and arrest, write, etc. So that's very important to keep in mind. Also keep in mind that we use the passive voice more in writing and less in speech. So if you are talking, it's natural to use the active voice. So I might say, hey, guess what? They have renovated the hotel. They have renovated the hotel. That's an active voice. Or someone stole my wallet last week. That's also perfectly natural to say. Or, hey, you know what? The police arrested the thief yesterday. That is in the active voice. And in speech, it's very common to do that. So remember that difference. I hope you have enjoyed this lesson. There are a few slides available with different examples, and feel free to post your questions in the comment section. And always remember that practice makes a man perfect. So we'll meet you in the next lesson. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.